Hey, what's up, my friend? Welcome to the War Plan Briefing. Are you a small business owner that loves God, family, country, and capitalism? If so, you are my people, and I am your people. I'm excited that you're here. Today, I'm going to explain to you 4 reasons that recessions are actually really, really good for business owners, especially small business owners, and that might break your brain. And you're like,
no, I'm scared of the recession.
Look, I get it. A lot of people are scared of the recession, and some people say
there is no recession.
People argue about it, but here's the point. People are starting to self-fulfill the prophecy right now. So as of the recording of this, there's chatter, right? You got to understand recessions are basically an example of groupthink happening. If you do a Google Trends search, for example, you can go to Google Trends. A lot of people don't know this is a thing, but you can search how much search volume there is for certain keywords, and it will show you a little graph. If you type the word recession into Google Trends, you'll see that back in 2008, there was a huge spike where people were on Google typing in the word recession. It was like, and it was high. And then it went down for a really long time. Well, guess what? It's back. Last summer, it went, and it maxed out again because it's in our brains. And people start changing their buying habits and their consumer behavior because of the fear of what they think will happen, which then in turn causes the thing to actually happen. That's what I mean by self-fulfilling prophecy. The good news, though, is that number one, I've never been more excited in my life for you and your company than I am right now. And there's many reasons why. One of them is you got to understand that pressure and stress and even recessions, they don't create failures, they expose failures. Okay. And there's certain industries and there's one-off examples of people who really could just get totally steamrolled, totally outside of their control, but those typically are very rare. The lion's share of people have so much more power to control how their business does during the coming storm and the recession than they think they do. There's a bunch of reasons why I'm excited to tell you, but before I tell you the 4 reasons, I actually started my first real service company during
the Great Recession,
2007 to 2010, in that time window. And back then, I didn't really put any thought into any of this. And what was funny is when I started my company, I started doing pretty good. And when you're brand new and you're just starting, you can grow really fast, right? Because you have like no customers. And when you get 10, that's like infinity return or growth rate, right? And so I was starting to figure it out. I had my first $10,000 month and I was like on my way to my first 20,000, which is still a tiny business. But for me at the time, it was like, whoa, this is cool. And there's another guy in my town that started an identical service company to mine. Literally, same exact services, same exact zip code. His name was Dustin. And Dustin, I would see his trucks out. And I was like, scarcity mindset freaking out. I was always stressed out when I saw Dustin's truck, which I'm embarrassed of now. Well, I'm not embarrassed now, but it's a funny story now, but it's kind of like embarrassing that I thought so small, but we all grow and evolve, but that's the truth of it. But after a couple of years in, when I was starting to do 10, 20,000 a month, I saw Dustin working at a gas station, and it totally broke my brain. And I'll never forget this story because it was confusing to me. I was starting to understand how big the opportunity was. And that little cleaning company I started just south of Flint, Michigan, went on to do almost $200,000 a month, totally on autopilot. I didn't even work in it the last 2 years that I had it. I sold it to private equity. I moved to Costa Rica. Like this little tiny thing that I was so scarcity minded turned into this really great thing for us. But Dustin had given up. I walked in the gas station. I asked him, I said, why aren't you cleaning windows and doing this service business? And what he said was,
Josh, everybody's cheap. No one wants to pay for my services. There's no opportunity out there.
And I walked out with my jaw on the floor because it was in that moment I realized that Dustin was literally living in a parallel universe. We're living in the same town with the same service, selling the same thing to the same people at the same time frame. There's no variables other than his frame, his mindset of it. And going into a recession, if you are framed up wrong, you're going to get steamrolled. You're going to get crushed, okay? Because some people are waiting for the perfect excuse to give up. They're waiting for some external thing to happen so they can say,
see, nothing I could do about it. Guess I'm just a failure.
And as sad as that is, it's absolutely true. Now, if you want to really win and you're going to go faster, you're going to love what the rest of this video is about. Let's get into it. The first reason that recessions are good for people with the right frame, the right mindset, growth mindset going into a recession, the reason it's good is because it cleans the economy. Have you ever heard of this concept in the body? I'm not like a medical guy, but it's called autophagy. And it's when your body starts to kind of eat its own, it cleanses itself and it eats like the impurities inside yourself. For example, if you go on an extended fast, your body will kick into autophagy. I think that's how you say it. Maybe I'm saying it wrong. Doesn't matter though. And your body will like cleanse itself. And economic corrections, that's what happens to business owners. That's why I said a recession doesn't create failures, it exposes them, because there are all kinds of people kind of riding the wave of just massive demand. You don't even have to like be good at what you do to make a buck and squeak by and make a living. And because of that, people are just kind of floating and drifting through life. And when the economy contracts, those people are going to get nuked. They're going to get squeezed out. Autophagy is going to happen in the economy, and it's going to clear out the impurities in the dead wood, and it sets the table for you. This is good for you. If you run a good business, you have good culture, it's good for you. It's going to take away a bunch of your competition, and when the thing bounces back, which it will, you're going to be positioned really nicely to have massive growth with less people in your way. The second reason a recession is actually good for you is that it forces resourcefulness. You know, I say in a lot of my videos that we don't need more resources, we need more resourcefulness. And there's all these examples of people being resourceful, but recessions kind of take it to the next level, because you might not be able to get that business line of credit that you've been trying to get. You might not be able to get auto financing like you thought, or the payments are higher because interest rates are starting to are going up, right? Prices from your suppliers are going up, and it's going to force you to get creative. It's going to force you to just put your thinking cap on. Not a big deal, but maybe you didn't have to do that in the previous few years. Now we have to. This is a good thing, because you're going to level up. You're going to build systems and processes. You're going to be more efficient. You're going to get more creative in your marketing. You're going to think asymmetrically about all the problems and how you get traffic and how you get attention. You're going to be more careful on who you target with your messaging, because maybe you need to target the affluent communities more specifically rather than being a generalist to everybody else. And your brain is going to work and think through this because of the pressure created by an economic slowdown. This is a gift, my friend. This is like a big deal. You're going to build a tighter business, a cleaner business, a more profitable business, a leaner business. It's going to be super awesome, and you'll ultimately just become more resourceful. Look, the best entrepreneurs know how to get freaking lemonade out of a lemon, right? Without the sugar. They figure out a way. I told a story in one of the videos. I believe it was Carnival Cruise Lines. It could be a different one. I can't remember. But the cruise line only had enough money to paint half of their boat. They literally couldn't paint the other half of the boat. So they painted the half that you could see from shore, and they went and made a bunch of joint venture deals with radio stations to fill up the cruise boat. And they sold these people, you know, beer and cheese and crackers and food, and they survived. Like they went on to build this huge company because they are so resourceful. And it might be a little painful temporarily, but if you're smart, it's going to be a big gift to you in the end. A third reason it could be hugely beneficial for you to go through a downturn or a recession is that it could force you to go smaller so you can get bigger. An analogy I like is that you got to pull the bow and arrow backwards so that the arrow can go forward. Sometimes you got to take a step back so you can go forward. But maybe, let me explain more clearly than that. Maybe you offer tons of services, but you only need to offer 3. Maybe you're in the e-commerce business and you have 672 SKUs on your warehouse shelves, and we only need to have 37. You know, what happens is when times are good, our companies get bloated. They get more bloated and more complex than they need to be.
He's been really bloated today.
You know, I heard a story from someone this week that had 35 employees in a certain department for their company, and they only needed 5. They operated wasting payroll for a couple years before they dug in there and were like,
You know what? I think we can do literally the same exact thing with 5 people if we just change the way that it's done.
boom. Now, it sucks for those 30 people that lost their job, but it's good, healthy, and awesome for the business and the business owner and the profits, right? So there's fat that needs to be trimmed. Maybe there's some subscriptions you need to cancel, and this is going to be an opportunity for you to like cut that fat, get more lean. And like we just talked about with resourcefulness, maybe you need to introduce a high ticket offer during the recession. Maybe the most expensive thing you sell right now is $1,000, but let's create something that's $5,000, because recessions don't affect all classes the same. They don't affect the affluent like at all, basically. None of their buying behaviors really fundamentally change. I know that even when I go get gas, I don't actually look at the price of gas almost ever, unless I'm thinking about it for a video. I don't care because I'm still getting gas. All of our cars need premium gas too, which makes it even more expensive. I don't care. It doesn't affect my buying behavior. So the point is maybe you need to sell less total services so you can get really refined at the profitable ones that you have. Maybe you're doing some some unnecessary things that give you tiny or no results, we can delete them and introduce some higher ticket, go upstream market to the affluent results. And the recession is going to help reframe your brain and set the table for good things like this to happen for you. And last but certainly not least, everything's going to be on sale, right? This is the obvious one. There's discounts, there's discounted assets, discounted equipment, discounted companies to buy, discounted media. You can buy media. You can share and do joint venture media and marketing campaigns with some of your non-competing competitors. There's also people stop spending on advertising, which reduces the advertising inventory on platforms like Facebook and TikTok. When the inventory goes down, the ad cost goes down, right? That's why it's more expensive to advertise during Black Friday than it is the rest of the year. These are all good things for you, because if you've properly went through everything we just said, right? Your competition's getting cleared out, right? The autophagy, right? And then you're becoming more resourceful and creative, making 1 + 1 = 4. You've also cleared out some departments or certain services. You've cleaned it up. You've cleared it out. You've reduced expenditures that are not mission critical to you. You've done all these things. And now everything's on freaking sale. This is amazing for you. Even during the Great Depression, not the Great Recession, but the Great Depression, which was like the worst economic time in the history of our country, most people still had jobs. I think it was like 30-something% unemployment, which is like horrific. That means like 70% still had employment, and all the rich people were still rich for the most part during that time. So yes, it's not that simple, but the principle still stands. The principle is this: everything's going to be on sale, and you're going to be in a position to capitalize on it. One thing I want to suggest you do right now, if you want to make money, you want me to give you free money, I'll give you free money. You ready for free money? You need to start reaching out to all of your competitors now and building a relationship with them. You need to have an acquisitions tab on your website. Even if you aren't in a position to buy a company right now, or you don't think you are, it needs to exist, because as we progress over the next couple of years, depending on how things shake out, I want you to be the person they think of when they fantasize about selling. I want you to be the person they contact when they have a horrible day and their 3 employees didn't show up and they just want to get rid of their business and go try to get a job doing something else. I want you to capitalize on it. And if you're smart, you'll put the infrastructure in place now so that can happen to you. Mail them a letter every couple months. Say, hey, my name's Josh. We're direct competitors. You might hate me, but I don't hate you. I'd love to buy you a burger and get to know you. Hey, when we have extra work, maybe I can send it your way. I've heard good things about you. Oh, P.S., if you're ever thinking about getting out of the business, if you're ever thinking about selling, I'd love to have a conversation about that. All the best, and just keeps mailing this to them. Spend $100 a month on letters and then go crush it and make millions of dollars. Now, when that happens, are you going to remember to come back here and be like, thanks, Josh, you made $1 million for your cool suggestion that totally worked? I hope you do, because that would not be nice. If you're getting value out of this video, please comment, share it, like it. Make sure you subscribe to it. Hit the bell thing. I think hitting the bell matters. All the other YouTubers say it, so I'm just going to hop on the gravy train of that. Hit the bell. But let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what's missing. Let me know where you're at. What do you think is going to happen with the economy? Do you think it's just kind of everybody's exaggerating and we're blowing it out of proportion? Because there's a lot of indicators and a lot of weird things happening right now. We got fake news, we got foreign wars, we got all kinds of weird stuff, money supply, inflation, the price of eggs is out of control, at least at the recording of this video. What are your thoughts? Let me know. And until next time, I'll see you. Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you watched, click the video on the left to watch the previous upload. And if you want one of my personal favorites, click the video on the right. And of course, don't forget to hit the middle to subscribe so you never miss an upload. Thank you again for being on this journey with me.